We are just about ready to start Game 2 of this doubleheader between the Ohio Christian Trailblazers and the Bluefield College Rams here at Bluefield, Virginia at Bowen Field. Hello, everybody. I'm Bailey Engel. Glad to have you with us. What a game that first one was. Rams won 26-6 and improved to 7-1 on the year. Ohio Christian fell 2-7. What a big day it was for Bluefield, hitting 4 home runs in that one and outscoring Ohio Christian by 20 runs. But now a brand new ball game, and starting on the mound for Bluefield, Kyle Harris. Kyle Harris already has 1 win on the year, and now he'll face off against Hunter Gray. Hunter Gray last game had a home run in the first at bat, all right off of Peyton Tennant. Then just scored 1 more run after that, struck out 3 straight times. First pitch, and he shows bunt, pulls back, and it is called a ball outside anyway. 1 ball, no strikes. Here at Bowen Field, we played that first game, just 7 innings, took about 3 hours. And the righty deals. Swing, foul tip, gloved by the catcher in this one for Bluefield. In the field for the Rams, Austin Browning will get the start at catcher. Torres over at first. At second is Perez. Once again at short, Bailey Castro. And at third, Bluefield will send Marcus Espinal. In left field, McGee, and in center, Ackerman, and in right field, Jordan Jackson. After all that, the 1-1 ready to be dealt by Harris. Pitch swung on and popped up on an off-speed pitch. That will carry right out of here. Count is at 1-2. Still no score. We're on the first batter of the game. Batting in order for this Ohio Christian team, Gray to lead off, Eric Reinhardt to bat second, Skoronski batting third and playing in left field, Haley batting fourth and playing out in right. Zach Mason getting the start as the catcher in this game for Ohio Christian. Is now Harris on the long stare in, deal, swung on and stroked to deep center. Ackerman has a beat on it though, trots up and makes the catch. There's a confident out for out number 1 for Bluefield as Ackerman, the 5'7" senior coming out of Oregon, makes the catch, and Eric Reinhardt will come up. Reinhardt played in that last game. He's the DH in this one, batting in the 2-hole. Managed to get on base once, so it'll be a righty versus lefty matchup. Kyle Harris, a right-handed pitcher from New York City, 1-0 on the year, a 5.01 ERA and 5 1/3 innings pitched. That pitch is just a fastball right down Broadway for strike 1. Given up 3 earned runs on the year, as well as now having 4 strikeouts. Count is at 0-1. Righty to lefty matchup. Skoronski batting third as that pitch is swung on and grounded hard, pulled near the Bluefield dugout. Well, we tried to explain it there in Game 1. Well, Bluefield finally from the Bluefield Baseball Commission to have their dugout where the Bluefield Blue Jays are over on the first base side because of their new and improved clubhouse. That's a really nice facility. Definitely a recruiting tool now for Mike White in his 11th year as the coach of Bluefield. The 0-2, swing and a miss. First strikeout of the game for Harris, and he got him on an off-speed pitch outside. Solid start for Kyle Harris. Now 2 outs already here in the first inning. Skoronski, the left fielder, coming up. Skoronski, a senior from Cincinnati, Ohio, went to Oak Hills High School. Has his knees bent almost awkwardly on the left-handed side as the pitch bounces into the catcher's mitt. 1 ball, no strikes. Browning with that stature behind home plate, a towering pitcher in Harris as he deals a fastball low and away, ball 1. Skoronski looked good in that last game as the pitch hops in. Count is 3-0. 3 balls, no strikes. And flirting with their first base runner of the game. Bluefield has sent some pretty big scoring totals so far this year as that pitch goes in. Skoronski goes over to first for the first walk. They scored 26 runs in the last game. Scored 29 in a game against Piedmont International. Runner over at first, and that will prompt Haley to come up to the plate. Haley went 0 for 4 in the last game. Pitch. Right down the middle, strike one. Playing in game 2 of a doubleheader here. So no outs, or 2 outs rather, no runs scored just in the top of the first as the 0-1 goes off of Isaiah Haley. So we plunked him there right off the elbow. Bluefield was hoping it got on the knob of the bat, but now 2 runners on with 2 outs in the top of the first. And you got to think for Bluefield, no harm, no foul, because in the last game against Ohio Christian, they let up the first 3 runs in the game. Hunter Gray hit a home run, and then 2 more runs scored after that for the Trailblazers. And Bluefield went on to score 22 unanswered runs. Two outs, and now Zach Mason up, the catcher. The fastball right down the middle to Mason. For strike one, count 0-1, still scoreless, 2 outs. And for Zach Mason, usually a starter. He makes his 6th start in this one. Harris checking the runners, 0-1. Swing and a miss, way out in front of the changeup, strike 2. Well, Harris has had some stuff working early. Two men on. Here in a chill night at Bluefield with the sun dropping. Harris staring down the 0-2. Swung on and sort of back foul with the backstop on the right panel. So Ohio Christian now in 2-7. Losing a few in a row. Field trying to win this series. Count no balls, 2 strikes. Pitch. Way high and outside. Throw to second. It's the runner actually. And now Skoronski has to get up. That did not feel good. It's grounding. Throw it back over Bailey Castro. Castro couldn't get a glove on it, but instead it looked like it hit off his shoulder of Skoronski, diving back into second base. So Browning will talk it over with Harris. And Jose Perez was the man to try to glove that. Tried to clarify what he wanted from Browning. Meanwhile, the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 men on for OCU. Well, Mason steps back into the batter's box. Rams trying to keep it consistent here and leave a couple of runners on. 1-2. Swing and a miss. And that is it for the top of the first. Couple of strikeouts for Kyle Harris, and Bluefield leaves 2 runners on base for the Trailblazers. Headed into the bottom of the first. Rams coming to bat when we come back to the Rams Digital Sports Network. Brandon Fockeret gets the start for Ohio Christian as Bluefield goes into the bottom of the first, tied up at 0-0, sending Bailey Castro, Jose Perez, and Josh McGee up to face this righty. Well, Fockeret, a sophomore coming from Pickerington, Ohio, makes his first start ever at Bowen Field. First pitch to Castro is a tad bit high for ball one. He came into today batting .458 with 3 RBIs, but well, he added to that in game one with a home run, and he ended up scoring 4 times. Low and inside on Castro. Makes the count 2-0. Castro, the shortstop, already has shown his athleticism, and that home run just snuck over the wall. 2-0. The fastball just a tad bit high. 3 balls and no strikes. Got to see if Ohio Christian can answer with any sort of pitching, because we didn't see that in game one. Went through 5 pitchers for the Trailblazers. 3-0. Right down the middle, strike 1. Count at 3-1. 3-1 offering. Castro takes a healthy swing and a miss. You're just now joining us. Bluefield won game 1, 26-6. That was in 7 innings. We were playing 2 7-inning games here. Payoff pitch, swung on, bounced over to short, fielded there, throw to first in time. What a snag at first base by Rysinga. Wasn't a pretty throw from Brandon Barger, but it got the job done for out number 1. That'll bring up Jose Perez. So already 1 out, still no score. Bottom of the first. Playing in at third will be Anderson. That pitch is swung on and tapped right in front of home plate. Fielded by the catcher. Throw to first. Not in time, so the swinging bunt works for Jose Perez. So the catcher, Zach Mason, had a good charge on it, but these throws over to first, when they have been rushed, they have been skipping in the dirt. There's already a runner on for Bluefield. 1 out, bottom of the first, still no score. And Joshua McGee will come up. Boy, he sent a ball to the moon back in game 1. That went about 50 feet behind left field. And a runner at first, a big lead for Perez as the pitch is served in and hits on the inside corner. McGee, a right-handed batter. Well, for Fockeret on the year, this is his 3rd start. He has a 5.23 ERA, 0-1 record in 10 1/3 innings pitched, 17 hits, 8 runs, 6 of them earned, and then 4 strikeouts. Pitch to McGee, swung on, popped up, and that will carry over the backstop and out of play. Count now at 0-2. Well, for the Rams, this has been one of their better starts, and a lot of fans starting to look at this Bluefield lineup and see that they have some heavy hitters, and maybe the heaviest has been Joshua McGee. Pickoff move to first. Perez dives back in time. Garrett Schilling is the first base coach in his first year as an assistant for Mike White after playing the past couple of years here in Bluefield. Schilling will coach in a collegiate league out in California this summer. Now the 0-2 runner going, swung on and popped up over home plate again. It will carry over the backstop and over that awning. Perez had a big jump with just 1 out. Mike White at third base as the head coach of Bluefield for the past 11 years, now his 2nd year as the athletic director for the Rams. From the belt, Fockeret takes a big breath, checks on the runner. Now time called by McGee. We're seeing both pitchers be a little bit more deliberate in game 2 than we saw in game 1. Harris took a pretty long amount of time on some of his pitches, and now we see with Fockeret where he had to call time, and now his catcher, Zach Mason, had to chat with him. Rams looking for their 2nd straight game where they put a run on the board in the 1st inning. Ohio Christian hoping for a double play. That'll be the only double play of the day so far if they're able to turn two. Perez with a healthy lead. The pitch, swing and a miss. McGee goes down on strikes, and that's the first strikeout for Facaret. So for Bluefield, they have a strikeout in the first inning. In that game one of the doubleheader, Bluefield put 4 runs on the board. Or rather, it was 4 runs. En route to scoring 22 unanswered in the first 3 innings. That brings up Browning. Browning came into today just batting a measly 167 as the pickoff attempt fails at first base. But for Austin Browning, you saw a lot of big hits and a lot of tenacity there in game one. Had a 2 RBI single and then have managed to rush over to second while they were trying to throw out the runners at home plate. Two outs, runner goes, pitch, called for a strike, throw to second, hopping into second or center field. Perez rushing over to third, throw there, nowhere close. And Perez making Zach Mason pay as he advances 2 bases. So it'll be an E2 on a bad throw from the catcher. And Perez advances over to third base. So he had a steal and then advances on the error. Count is 0-1 as Browning watched that go right down the middle. Browning steps back up, playing relatively back in that batter's box. 0-1. Outside, kept in front by Mason. Perez flirting with going home. So Perez tried to go on a hit and run with Josh McGee. It didn't work out. Got the go-ahead. Browning didn't swing away. Now still 2 outs. Browning with a base hit can give Bluefield the lead here. Perez all the way in the grass as that pitch is swung on and fouled off behind the backstop and out of play again. Makes it 1 ball and 2 strikes. Browning coming out of Yuma, Arizona. Saw confidence there in game one. The 1-2. In the dirt, kept in front by Mason. Boy, that just right off of his chest guard and rolled down the first baseline. Perez had a big lead over at third. He was ready to go. Made the smart decision to get back. Rams in the cream color jerseys. So far, so good with that wardrobe choice. 2-2. Swung on, grounded down the third base line, but just bouncing foul. Browning will go right back up. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, no score, bottom of the first. Facaret breathing hard as a big runner is at third. Kick in the 2-2. Outside, ball 3 and a full count. It's been a good at-bat by the catcher for Bluefield, Browning. He has made Facaret work for every pitch, and Perez, before everyone is served to home, he is in the infield grass. Now a payoff. Browning swings and pops it up into right field. Going back is Haley, and he'll squeeze the glove to make the catch. So Bluefield leaves a runner on base after 1 hit, 1 error, and we head to the second inning scoreless here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. We're in the second inning now, still scoreless, and Hayden Hufford is up at the plate as he watches a fastball bounce outside. Bluefield now facing the 6-7-8 with Ryan Harris on the mound. Or Kyle Harris, I should say. Harris hit pretty well in that first inning. Led on 2 batters after hitting 1 and walking 1, but no hits. So the fastball goes outside again. 2 balls and no strikes. Hufford played for the majority of game 1. Went 0 for 3, though, or 0 for 2 with a walk. 2-0. Right down the middle, and that'll be the first strike of the at-bat. Makes it 2-1. Oh, Harris with the pitch. Outside. And if you look at that last score of the game, of game 1, 26-6, Rams only out-hit the Trailblazers by 7. So the pitching was a big difference. Harris with a 3-1. High and outside, ball 4. Now Hufford on with a walk to open up the second inning. That's the second walk for Harris. That'll bring up Ian Reisinga. Well, the first baseman played the entire game last time. Here's the pitch. Reisinga fouls it back straight to that green wall. Makes it 0-1. Another reminder that we will be on the air tomorrow as well. Rams play in 1 game at 1 against Ohio Christian to end that series, weather permitting. But, of course, in baseball, the game is always on until we say so. Runner over at first. Covering the bag is McGee. Pitch. Just a bit outside, but called a strike at 1-1. So Browning is the catcher for Bluefield in this one. McGee, or rather, that's Torres at first. The 1-1. Drops low and away. Count 2 balls and 1 strike. We're playing in a beautiful night, especially for February in Bluefield, Virginia. Count is 2-1. I mean, it feels like summer. From the hip. Harris with a pitch. Fastball just drops a little outside. Three balls and 1 strike, a batter's count. The runner at first. Count is now at 2-2 rather. Pitch. Swung on, grounded down the third base line, foul. And caught by the head coach for Ohio Christian. That's Michael Blevins in his 3rd season. You can just see some of the frustration on his face from game 1. But that's the beauty about baseball. You come back in game 2, and it's like nothing ever happened. So we had our first inning here was scoreless. Here in game 2. With a 2-2. Reisinga with a check swing, and he goes down looking. 3rd strikeout for Kyle Harris. What a start for the right-handed pitcher from New York City. That'll bring up Michael Anderson. So just 1 out now. Top of the 2nd, scoreless at Bowen Field. Now a swing and a miss. Runner going. Throw to second. Perez lays down the tag, and he is out. What a throw by Browning. Hufford caught with his hands in the cookie jar, and now there are 2 outs. So now that kind of deflates Ohio Christian. No ducks on the pond, 0-1 with 2 outs. Anderson comes right back up. The junior from Pequot, Ohio. Pitch. Fastball just a bit outside. Kind of like the command of Harris, as now Browning goes to talk with him on this even 1-1 count. Fastball has been working for number 20. He goes right back to the mound. Browning behind home plate. Got the start at first base in the last game. Browning looking in with that black glove. Still scoreless. Browning from the belt now calls time. Here's the batter, Michael Anderson. Anderson just batting 167 as that pitch is swung on and popped back foul. It will curve near the field light and land out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes, 2 outs. Nobody on after Browning was able to throw out Hufford. Pitch just a bit outside. Bluefield was ready to run into the dugout there, including Kyle Harris. Pretty great off-speed pitch. I'll have to try it again here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. From the belt, he offers. Outside and low, just scraping in the dirt for ball 3, and now a full count. Both teams' pitchers just racking up this pitch count so far. We're in the top of the second inning at a scoreless Ohio Christian versus Bluefield College contest. Another time called. Anderson with no home runs on the year, as well as no RBIs. Matter of fact, he's only had 1 hit. Payoff. In the dirt, ball 4, and it gets past Browning, so Anderson goes to first. That's a pretty tough at-bat there for Kyle Harris. Now brings the shortstop, Brandon Barger. Now a runner at first, Bluefield still tied up 0-0. Kyle Harris with the ball in his glove. Now deals with a runner at second base. Next pitch, scrapes in the dirt. Barger making his 6th start of the season. He's had 15 at-bats, 1 run, and has been hitless coming into today's contests. But he did a single back in game 1. 1-0. Swing and a miss. A hefty swing on the off speed, and he had him fooled. Evens the count at 1-1. Not a ton of fans here at the ballpark, and kind of surprising, especially because of how nice of a day it was. 1 ball and 1 strike. Timeout call. And Harris has such a long delivery that some of these Ohio Christian players get a little out of whack waiting for Harris to try to fire one home. 1-1. Drops in on the inside corner. Beautiful pitch by Harris, and the count is now at 1-2. Two outs, a runner at first. Anderson got on with a 1. Could be the go-ahead. A tied game at 0-0 on the top of the second. 1-2. Swung on, slapped over towards first base. Fielded by Perez. Quick throw to first in time. And the side is retired. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 man left on base. Bluefield and Ohio Christian all tied up at 0-0 after 1.5 innings in the books at Bowen Field. Into the bottom of the second we go. Still scoreless, Bluefield and Ohio Christian. Oscar Torres to lead off. As that pitch drops in inside. Fockerat still on the mound for the Trailblazers. Well, Torres belted a home run back in game one of the first inning. Here's the pitch. Inside. That was his second of the year. Count is now at 2-0. We're in the 5-6-7. Jordan Jackson batting second, and then Jordan Ackerman batting in the hole for Bluefield. A couple of guys with some big extra base hits in that 26-6 route. 2-0. Swung on, line drive past the second baseman and bouncing into right field. Rounding first and staying there, Torres. And a healthy hit for Torres at Bluefield's second of the game. That'll bring up Jordan Jackson. You had to see how pumped Jordan Jackson got after absolutely drilling a bases-clearing, bases-loaded triple back in the first game of this doubleheader. So he comes up, the young man coming out of New Jersey, batting right-handed. Ohio Christian looking for a double play. The pitch, Ackerman turns into it, and it curves inside. Ball one. Or rather, that's Jackson. Ackerman up next. So Jackson getting the start in right field again. The 1-0. Drops in low and inside. Makes the count 2-0. Got a game tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Bluefield men's basketball unfortunately lost today to Truett McConnell, so they will likely play in the NCCAA tournament coming up next week. More details to follow. Give us a follow at Bluefield Rams on Twitter, as the pickoff move is a little too slow to get Torres at first. Or give us a like on Facebook on the Bluefield College Athletics page. Two balls and no strikes. Runner at first. Pitch. Swung on and popped up way in the air. A moonshot of a foul ball, and it will just float over the Coppinger room and out of play. 2 balls and 1 strike for Jackson. No out, still no score. Bottom second. Playing in a 7-inning game. Well, number 8. Waiting for another pitch. Bluefield playing in those cream jerseys. 2-1. Swung on, stroke left center field. Going back is Gray, and that will bounce towards the warning track. On his way to third, Torres, he'll stand up, and Jackson is on with a double. Well, Jackson has had a lot of power today. Bluefield now with a few hits in a row, knocking on the door with 2 runners in scoring position already in the bottom of the second. No outs, and that will bring up Jordan Ackerman. Ackerman started out the game back in game 1 of the doubleheader with a double. Then he also had an RBI double. Scored a run. He was 2 for 3. Now a conference between Zach Mason and Fockerat. Bluefield has just put a solid Ohio Christian pitching staff. We saw 5 pitchers for the Trailblazers back in game 1, and now we've only seen 1 out of Fockerat after he was able to silence Bluefield in the first inning. Now in a bit of a jam with 2 runners in scoring position and no outs. The pitch. Ackerman, the lefty, watches it go, but it's called a strike because it crosses those Rams letters across the chest. Coming from John Day, Oregon. Hitting over 400 on the year. The pitch. High and outside. Count at 1-1. Still no outs. Torres got on with a single into right, and Jackson sent a charge to left center field. Rocking back again, the 1-1. High and outside. Count is now at 2 balls and 1 strike. So no outs. Waving the bat, Ackerman ready to knock Torres and Jordan Jackson in. Fockerat from the belts, kicks and offers. swung on, hit hard, left field, straight at Skoronsky. He dives but can't make the catch. Torres easily scores from third, bouncing into a throw. Jackson safe at the corner, and Jordan Ackerman is all the way over at second. Bluefield up by 1 as Torres is able to score. So Ackerman on with a single and advances on the throw. Jackson over at third. Skoronsky just kind of trapped it in the grass. Now Bluefield brings a runner in, and that will bring up a new batter today in Nick Meadows. Well, he has already played in right field back in the last game. He had a 4 RBI day in 26 runs, so pretty good for Bluefield. He's the designated hitter in this one, just a freshman from Christiansburg. Swings and dribbles it over to third base, throwing it to home now. Jordan Jackson caught in a bit of a rundown. Now chasing him down, now throws it back over to the first baseman. A couple of pump fakes, and Jackson is tagged. Ackerman safe at third, and courageous effort by Anderson to throw it into home. Got Jackson caught in a little bit of bad base running. Ackerman all the way over at third. Now Jackson retired. Meadows on over at second with a fielder's choice, though. And you had to think that Ohio Christian was going to just try to get an easy out. But, you know, if you're the Trailblazers, that was a very good decision. So now there's just one out. Ackerman's out over at third now. Meadows at second. We might possibly see a pitching change here, but Bluefield has only put 3 hits up on the board. We're just in the bottom of the second. Rams lead 1-0 after Ackerman brought in Oscar Torres on a single. Marcus Espinal ready to go, the third baseman for Bluefield. And now the umpire's just trying to get this thing going here. First game already took 3 hours in just 7 innings. And now the umpire getting a good bit of a talking to by the head coach of Ohio Christian, Michael Blevins. This has still been a long conference. Umpire was just trying to rush this little chat along. And now they will go back to their respective positions, and 2 runners in scoring position for Bluefield with just 1 out. Will not be an RBI for Meadows as Jackson is out. Marcus Espinal on. Espinal had a pretty good game 1 as well. It kind of seems like a common theme for Bluefield. Everybody gets a good game in when you score 26 runs. The pitch, Espinal watches it bounce in the dirt. He had a home run in the last one. That was his 4th one of the year. Went over the left field wall. Count is 1-0. Well, there's 1 out. Ackerman at third. Meadows, the freshman, at second. Pickoff move to second. It goes into center field. Ackerman trots in. Meadows won't go. And Vacaret had the right idea because Meadows was not going to be back in time, but that pickoff move was just not good at all as the ball bounced all the way out in center field where Gray had to field it. So Meadows doesn't advance. Ackerman goes on an E1. Second error of the game for Ohio Christian. And Bluefield leads 2-0. So a 1-0 count to Espinal. Pitch. Swing and a miss. He was well late on that fastball. Makes the count at 1-1. Still just 1 out. A good lead for Meadows. Just 1 runner in scoring position now. Been a bad day for Ohio Christian. From the belt, the pitch. Espinal watches it just fly inside. Count is at 2-1. And you think Bluefield, this has been one of their better showings. 2-1. Outside corner evens it up at 2-2. As you play Piedmont International, you score 17 runs and 29 runs on them. That's a first-year program. Ohio Christian's been around a while. Watching at second. Pitch. Swung on, a hard bouncer. Towards short, gets past Barger, and now Meadows will come in to score as the ball rolls all the way to center field. It was a tough hop for Barger, but a run scores again to make it 3-0. Espinal safe over at first base. Got to see if that one will be called an error, an E6 on Barger. That's the second time today where Espinal has victimized the shortstop. So now he is 0 for 1. Still just 1 out. Brings us back to Bailey Castro. Castro grounded out to short to open up the bottom of the first. Runner at first. The pitch high and outside. Count is at 1-0. It has been really a very rough day for Ohio Christian. Already 3 errors for the Trailblazers, and we're just now in the bottom of the second. Rams jumped out to a 3-run lead here. 1-0. Swung on, popped up, flying over the Bluefield dugout and out of play. Evens the count at 1-1. We'll be happy to have you here tomorrow as well, a 1 o'clock game for Bluefield, trying to go for another win in this series. If they win tonight, maybe the sweep, the 1-1. Swung on and served back on a foul to make it 1-2. Castro nearly batting .460. After scoring 4 runs in game 1, Mike White might have found himself a pretty good shortstop. Might be safe to say. One-two. Swung on, tapped foul down the third base line near Mike White. Count stays at 1-2. Some of the Ohio Christian fans making the trip. A few people in Trailblazers hats around the ballpark today. Fauqueret still on the mound. Staring over at first at Espinal. Just 1 out. 1-2. Swung on, stroked into right center field. That's dropping it for a base hit. Charging over to third, Espinal. Throw cut off by Barger. He'll serve to first, and now Castro's in a rundown. Meanwhile, Espinal stopping at third. Tagging out at second is Castro. Good heads-up play started by Barger. He was going to look over at third. Espinal had no intentions of running. Now Castro on with a single and then eliminated from the field. And now Mike White, that's already 2 bad base-running decisions made by a couple of his Rams. Jackson already out in a rundown, and now Castro also taken off. That'll bring up Jose Perez. 3-0 the score. Two outs now. Jose Perez up to the plate, 1 for 1 with his single. He was left on base back in the first inning. Pitch. Swung on and fouled off of his foot. Count is 0-1. And Ohio Christian just have won 2 games on the year, and you're starting to see that they don't have a lot of depth in pitching. Now, they might be fine as far as hitting goes, but the pitching is just not quite there, especially against a team like Bluefield with a little bit more NAI experience. 0-1, skips in the dirt. Makes it 1-1. Their 1 win on the year, or one of their wins on the year, was against Spring Arbor University. That was back in October. So they have not They won one game in February against Shawnee State. So they are counting their spring contest as a part of their record. That doesn't seem right. So Spring Arbor was a win they had back in October of 2017. Their one win was against Shawnee State this year. Game 2 of a doubleheader. His time is called by Perez again. 3 runs have already scored for Bluefield in the bottom of the second. They lead 3-0. Runner at third, the 1-1. Perez on a hard grounder. That'll sneak through the middle infielders for a base hit. Espinal trots in to score, and it's now 4-0 Rams. So that will be unearned. And Bluefield jumping out to another big inning. Second straight game where they have put up 4 runs in the bottom of the second. Josh McGee up. This is now the 8th batter in the second inning for the Rams. 2 outs. You got to think back in that first game, they went through 13 batters before a second out could have been recorded. Runner at first. Shoulder shrug from Facaret. The pitch, inside and low. Ball 1. Facaret has led up all 4 of these runs. He's not getting help. There are 3 errors on the board. Count 1-0. McGee struck out his last time. The pitch is big, hefty cut and a miss there for McGee. Count evens, 1 ball, 1 strike. He steps back up, the Louisiana native on his 3rd school. Open stance. 1-1. Swing and a miss again. Strike 2. Hit a home run in the last game, now has 6 on the year. Steps back up on the left side. Runner over at first. Facaret ready to end the inning. Takes a deep breath. Fires away. High and outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. So this has been a long duel here between Harris and Facaret already, and we're just in the bottom of the second. Runner at first is Jose Perez on that single and an RBI. The pitch swung on, another ground ball right up the middle, a base hit for Josh McGee. Perez stays at second, and Bluefield has 2 aboard with 2 outs. For Ohio Christian, if you're Mike Blevins, you got to think that maybe you have to conserve your pitchers here because you still have a game tomorrow, and that's going to be 9 innings. Facaret has 1 strikeout, and now Austin Browning comes up as the 9th batter in the inning. He actually ended the first inning with a pop-up over to right field his last time. Now with a chance to redeem himself. Bluefield already leading 4-0. Browning, the Arizona native, facing off against Facaret coming from Ohio. Pitch. Just a bit outside, but called a strike for the catcher. Browning improving his batting average today after nailing a big hit. 2 RBIs in game 1. Bluefield has been so confident against this pitching staff for the Trailblazers. 0-1. Just a bit inside. Count is at 1-1. Browning just waving that bat around. Got 2 runners on board. 4-0 Rams. Pitch inside, and Mason kept it in front. So load up the bases, but Perez, you got to wonder how fast he can run to try to get home, because Bluefield has a lot of confidence in him to try to get home from second base or even first. He's got McGee right behind him at first. Shoulders shrug, Facaret with the pitch. High and outside, 3-1 the count. It's already been a long one. Couldn't ask for better weather for the home opener. 4-0 Rams. They have 5 hits in this one. Three balls and 1 strike. Facaret takes another big deep breath. The pitch swung on, popped up behind home plate. Mason tosses away that catcher's mask, and it just lands right on top of the Bluefield dugout. That loads up the count. 3 balls, 2 strikes. So as the temperature continues to drop on this warm February night, Bluefield down to possibly their last strike in the second inning. Mike White talking to Austin Browning just like they're in the L screen. Already leading 4-0. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 2 men on, 2 outs. Facaret from the stretch. Fires. Swung on and bowed back hard into the netting. So Perez and McGee were both ready to just sprint. Browning goes back. The righty facing the righty. Puts a little dirt in his hand. He's only wearing a batting glove on his left hand. Rather, it looks like he's ditched one of them. So he's going Jorge Posada style here. With no gloves. Runners going. The pitch high and outside. A ball 4. Bases loaded. So with 2 outs, Bluefield has the bases juiced on Facaret. Perez at third. McGee at second. And Browning over at first on the walk. Interestingly enough, that was the first walk of the inning. Rams have had 4 hits in the bottom of the second. And also reached a couple on fielder's choices as well as an error. Bases loaded. Here comes Oscar Torres, who led off the inning with a single. He's also scored a run in this one. Pitch. High and away. Glove by Mason. In front of a ton of Ohio Christian fans that made the trip. This Trailblazers team is kind of fumbled here with their pitching staff. Nodding in, another shrug. Pitch. Check swing, called a strike. So for Oscar Torres getting the start at first base in this game. Ready for the 1-1. Swung on and a hard foul, ripping off of that green backstop. Makes it 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bases loaded, 4-0. A swing of the bat could possibly double the score for Bluefield. Facaret just a strike away from getting out of this jam. Looking into Mason. The 1-2. Once again, lofted outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bluefield has been pretty patient here. In working the count, getting Facaret to throw so many extra pitches. Starts the motion. Fires. Swung on, hit high in the air down the right field line. Hooking foul, chasing back Rysinga, and it drops into foul territory. Boy, it seemed like everybody was there to try to catch that. Hufford, the second baseman, converging with the first baseman, Rysinga, as well as the right fielder in this game, Isaiah Haley, and none of them could chase it down. So the count is even, 2 balls, 2 strikes. 4-0, Rams lead, bottom second. Torres in his second at-bat here in the bottom of the second. Pitch. Swung on and popped up again right behind home plate. Runners all around as that pitch is swung on and drilled into deep left center field. Going back is Gray, and that hits the warning track and bounces to the wall. McGee easily scores. Here comes the second runner. He's in, and that'll clear the bases, as that was actually the third runner. Bluefield able to clear the bases on a double from Oscar Torres. Rams have batted well with the bases loaded. It seems like every time they have had the bases juiced, everybody gets to score, and it's now 7-0 as Oscar Torres gives himself 3 RBIs in this game. And Facaret talking it over with his catcher. Mike Blevins doesn't have really a ton of opportunities in this one to use different pitchers. Jordan Jackson ready to come up to the plate. It's 7-0 Bluefield. 2 outs. And a calm night at Bowen Field. The bats have really rung for the Rams. First pitch into Jackson goes a little outside. 1 ball, no strikes. 2 outs. Torres over at second, cleared the bases with a double. Jackson, his last time up, also had an RBI double. 1-0. Way inside, but called a strike. Evens it up at 1-1. 7-0. So the Rams, as a total, have outscored Ohio Christian today 33-6. As the Trailblazers have failed to score so far in this game. Just in the bottom of the second, though. So 1-1 is swung on and grounded hard up the middle. Fielded by Barger on a toss to first. He retires the side. Bluefield puts 7 on the board, a crooked number in the bottom of the second. And we will head into the third inning. Rams up 7-0. Kyle Harris ready to deal for Bluefield as they lead 7-0 going into the third inning. Ohio Christian starting out in the top of their lineup as Gray pops it up over to first base, and it's caught by Oscar Torres. So 1 pitch, 1 out. Mike Blevins just a little upset, the third base coach. His team has just not had it today so far. 7-0 Rams lead. That brings up Eric Reinhardt again. He is 0 for 1 with a strikeout swinging. Harris has 3 strikeouts in this one, the right-handed pitcher from New York, New York. Pitch. Fastball in the outside corner, strike 1. 7-0 Rams lead. No hits so far for Ohio Christian, just in the third inning, and we're playing a 7-inning game. From the belt, Harris deals. Swing and a miss. He chased on an off-speed pitch low in the dirt, and Browning flashed up the catcher's mitt. Said he liked that one. This has been a good battery pairing between both Kyle Harris as well as Austin Browning. Bluefield putting 7 runs on the board in the bottom of the second inning. 0-2. Lofted outside on the lefty. Makes it 1-2. Harris definitely not a small guy for Bluefield by any means. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pitch swung on and ripped back to center field. There's a base hit. First hit of the day for Reinhardt, and the first one for Ohio Christian. So Ethan Skoronsky will try to string a few together to get his team to come back in this one. And after Mike Blevins, the head coach for Ohio Christian, was a little upset about that pop-up from Hunter Gray, you can be a little bit more excited from Eric Reinhardt's base knock. So Skoronsky, the lefty, up as the righty deals outside. Well, Harris does have 3 walks in this one, as well as plunking Isaiah Haley back in the first inning. But everybody has been left on base, obviously, as it is now 7-0, 1-0. Swing and a miss, chasing outside. The lefty put a flash of a swing there. Evens the count at 1-1. Happy to have you here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. We'll be right back tomorrow for Game 1, and rather Game 3 of the series. This pitch goes outside, and only one game tomorrow. That was supposed to be a doubleheader on Saturday, and because of what appears to be some impending rain, Bluefield will only play 1 game tomorrow against Ohio Christian. Now the 2-1. Swung on and grounded over the head of Torres, and a fair one rolling towards the right field line. Picked up and right. Throw cut off by Perez. And now there are runners on the corners as Reinhardt is held up at third base. 2 straight hits, though, and just 1 out. Bluefield with a chance to try to turn 2. Have not seen a doubleheader today, though. So we really haven't seen that many cleanly hit balls over to the infielders. Isaiah Haley was hit by a pitch back in the first inning, and he'll come up now, right fielder. Three strikeouts for Harris. Could use another here. Pitch. Watch right down the middle. Strike 1. No balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Over at third is Reinhardt. Skoronsky at first. Seven 0 Rams lead. 0-1. Inside corner, strike 2. Still just 1 out. 7-0. Rams lead. Got a little bit of life for Ohio Christian. Harris looks in, fires. Swung on and grounded right down the third baseline. Snagged by Espinal. Throw to first, off target, and no tag there from Torres. Reinhardt scores to break up that shutout. Skoronsky over to second, and now Bluefield lets a run score. Isaiah Haley on at first with an RBI single. Zach Mason trying to keep it going. Bluefield still leads, though, by 6 runs. That'll bring up Zach Mason, who struck out swinging to end the top of the first inning. Two runners on for Ohio Christian. Here's the pitch. Right down the middle, it's strike 1. Count 0-1. One out, 7-1 the score. Pitch. Swung on and fouled straight back. Count at 0-2 now. Count is at 0-2 and just a strike away from making it 2 outs. Two runners on. Skoronski at second, Haley at first. 0-2. Swing and a miss at a pitch in the dirt. Tag laid down by Browning, and now there are 2 outs. Mason going down swinging for the second time. Hufford back up to the plate, the second baseman in this game. He walked back in the second inning to lead it off. Still 1 run has scored for this Trailblazers team. From the belt, the pitch. Outside, bouncing away from Browning. Both runners able to advance on the wild pitch. So the righty watched it fly away, and Hufford telling both of those runners to advance. Haley at second, Skoronski at third. Harris checking on the runners in scoring position. 1-0. Outside to Hufford and makes it 2 balls and no strikes. So in a bit of a jam here. But Harris trying to get out of this inning with minimal scars on his record. Pitch. Outside and low. 3 balls, no strikes. Here's Hufford waiting. 3-0. Just a bit high. Bases loaded. So nobody advances. Hufford has been walked 2 straight times, and Rice single will come up to the plate. Going down looking. His last time. Happy to have you here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. We're at Bowen Field, the home of the Bluefield Blue Jays, as well as the home of the Bluefield Orioles for nearly 50 years. I used to call some Bluefield Jays games that actually brought me into the 2 Virginias back in 2016. Got to meet Double Out, the most well-known Blue Jays fan just a few years ago. He is not in attendance today, so not a lot of crowd noise as the pitch goes inside to right. Called a strike. And for people that aren't aware of the Bluefield Blue Jays, Henry Belcher is a guy that's been coming to the games back for nearly 50 years. And instead of saying double play, he has deemed it a double out. And this is the home of the Bluefield Blue Jays. It's also had some pretty big Blue Jay stars come through here. You saw Noah Syndergaard before he was traded in that R.A. Dickey trade play here. As well as Aaron Sanchez. Pitch. Swung on, popped up, center field. Going back is Perez, and he will make the catch with his heels on the grass. So the base is left loaded. Harris gets out of the jam, and only 1 run scores in the top of the third. Bluefield still leading by 6 at 7-1.